G'day legends, I hope you're all amazing. We are going down the modulation rabbit hole today because I want to compare some pedals from one of my favorite pedal companies at the moment, PastFx from Brisbane, Australia. Now, a shout out to Verley at PastFx, who has been kind enough not only to send me these pedals, but to send me a bunch of vintage gear that I can borrow to make videos with. And you've seen a lot of those over the past year or so, from things like the iconic TC Electronics 1210 to vintage Electro Harmonix pedals and everything in between. Verley has been so generous, and I do have to give her a massive shout out. Now, the kind of mantra of PastFx, as the name would suggest, is that they are out to recreate some classic designs from the past, but they're also recreating some pretty obscure and niche designs as well. Two great examples of this to me would be their chorus ensemble pedal, which is a recreation of the Boss CE1. You know, if there was going to be the chorus pedal, it has to be the CE1. Now, the thing with the CE1 is it's about the size of a house brick. It requires AC power, and it's really hard to run with some instrument sources. There's a high and low impedance switch on it. It's really easy to overload guitar pickups on it, and generally you need to run a buffer before it. With something like this is guitar pedalboard friendly. It's a lot smaller. You've got all the same sounds and functions as the original, including the CE1 preamp, but it's just easier to use. You've got 9-volt DC power on here. It's a lot smaller, and it kind of cops the look of the original. Then you've got something like the Rotary Phaser, which is their recreation of the old Maxon Rotary Phaser, which was, again, a big chunky pedal. Not many people have heard about it, but this one takes that design, crams it in a smaller pedal, and adds a bunch of modern improvements to it. Kind of like the For Flanger, which I'm also going to demo on here. You know, that's doing the MXR flanger thing for Van Halen addicts. There's even a Waldo switch on there if you just want instant Van Halen. The Elastic Mattress, which is their take on a classic 18-volt electric Mistress. Another kind of rare one over here. This is the New Division, which is a recreation of the Electro Harmonix Clone Theory. So it's a Clone Theory clone. You know, the Clone Theory is probably best known for its use by Peter Hook from Joy Division and New Order. Then we've got the, what one is this? This is the PX65, a recreation of the old DoD FX65. It's got a whole bunch of extra controls on here. And then for all the Pat Travis fanatics out there, the ATA. This one does the super slow sweep of the original. You've got negative and positive feedback modes on here, and a threshold control if you want to do envelope flanging, as well as a jack for external control. So they're cramming a whole bunch of features into these pedals. What I want to do here is put them all side by side and just figure out what my preferences are for all of these. So there's only one chord to play. Let's hear it. always, with these kind of comparison videos, I would love to hear from all of you. What were your favorite clean sounds and your favorite dirty sounds in there? For me, probably the most versatile pedal is this PX65. Having a delay time control on a chorus pedal is brilliant. It kind of lets you emulate different styles of chorus. At different extremes, you kind of get more of the subtle boss thing or the thick, syrupy electro harmonics thing. I would say maybe the only downside on here is if you're not used to tweaking chorus pedals, it might be a little bit complicated and it might have, let's say, the least character out of all of these, which you're either going to see as a really good thing or a really bad thing. The ATA does the ADA thing so well. I just want to play Pat Travis songs on it. It is one of those kind of flanger pedals that can do that hollow jet plane thing, which isn't really my favorite thing from a flanger. So I found using this, I generally like having the enhanced control, which is feedback a little bit lower. So I don't really like it for the classic jet plane swoosh, but it scratches that itch for Pat Travis and Pat Thrall sounds. Where's the Rotary Phaser? This one's interesting because like every other phaser pedal out there, it kind of suffers from not being a Phase 90. The Phase 90 is the one knob wonder that we all think about when we think about an orange phaser pedal. But getting into this, I really like the kind of faux Leslie tones you can get from this. I actually really like the faux Leslie tones on the PX65 as well. That's a real strong point of both of these pedals. You know, you can kind of get into that no quarter style wobble. It also sounded really good on dirty tones as well. But again, I think for a lot of people, if it's not a Phase 90, they're not interested. But the Rotary Phaser, if you want something different, is a great one to check out. The new Division was probably the one, to me, that had the most character on there. The fact that it could be a chorus or a flanger, and the fact Verley has included these Studio and Edge mini switches on here, along with an input control, and as well as the fact it is much smaller and easier to find than a vintage Clone Theory, are a great example of why I like PastFx so much, taking these really desirable old circuits and making them accessible. The downside is that it's just an inherently noisy circuit like the original. So using it on distorted guitars, I didn't like as much, but that chorus on a clean sound, it's like instant 80s new wave on there. It's so thick and syrupy on there. I love the extra controls, and I like that you do have that option on there to use it as a flanger or a vibrato on there. Now we're getting on to the classics, and it's kind of no surprise that for me, these pedals really, really scratch the itch. If I want to do the Van Halen thing, the Hot for Flanger absolutely kills it. It has that perfect mix of adding thickness to the tone without kind of hollowing it out, which some flangers can do, and having a really nice modulated sweep in there. I love the way that sounds so much on dirty guitars. Out of all of these, this is probably the one that when you switch it on, a filthy guitar sound, you just smile and you go, yeah, that's doing the thing. Then we've got the chorus ensemble. Need I say any more? I just want to play Rush riffs on this one. With the high and low switch on here, the preamp, which you can use to kind of drive non-master volume amps a little bit harder. I don't know, it's very much the sound I think of when I think of a chorus pedal, and being able to run it wet dry, which they call stereo, but it's really a dry output and then a wet output on here, is very, very nice. We only heard it in mono. I wanted to keep all of these mono, but my favorite out of all of these, the one that when I turn it on, just gives me that sense of magic, has to be the Elastic Mattress. This is probably my favorite modulation pedal of all time. Just setting it with the rate around 11 o'clock, the range and the color control at around 2 o'clock, and playing with the blend, it just sounds perfect to me. I didn't know that I liked flangers until I tried this pedal, and that on a clean sound is just that iconic late 70s, early 80s thing. The only thing I don't love about this pedal is the fact that you need an 18-volt power supply for it, but I'm willing to overlook that for the fact that this is such a great form factor, and the construction, unlike some of the Electro Harmonix reissues, is rock solid. So Verley, thank you so much for making this. It made me a true believer of the electric Mistress circuit, and I absolutely love the Elastic Mattress. When I think of modulation, this one and the chorus ensemble are the first pedals that I try. But what an absolute glut of awesome modulation. I'd love to hear from all of you. What were your favorite sounds here? I'll put a link to the PastFx website In the video description, I should say as well, Verly doesn't know that I'm making this video. It was totally unprompted. I'm going to put the elastic mattress, the chorus ensemble, I'm going to put the For Flanger, and probably the Rotary Phaser on a studio board, which I'll do some demos of very soon. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.